Pleasure Principles, the podcast where we explore the art, science, and soul of pleasure in every facet of life. I'm your host Avik, and today we are about to dance into a conversation that might just change the way you move through your relationships. Literally. So, joining me is the sensational Linda Sutton. So, welcome to the show, Linda.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Avik, for having me.
Amazing. So Linda, like before we start, I'll quickly love to introduce you to all the listeners. Uh, Dear listeners, Linda is an international performing artist, award-winning host of the 22 Tango Show, author of "It Takes Two to Tango," using the secrets of the dance to create a passionate partnership. Yes, and a true visionary when it comes to decoding the relationship dynamics through the sensual and sacred language of tango. Wow. So, from the dance floor to your living room, she helps couples create harmony, synergy, and the deep connection using the 22 Tango Transformation Framework.
Mhm.
So, are you ready to let your body do the talking? Let's dive in. Welcome to the show again.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. All of the tagline says that we definitely say it to tango, let your bodies do the talking. And I must say that I smile every time I hear the name Pleasure Principle because I think of that famous song by Janet Jackson. So you'll just have to deal with my Janet Jackson references as well.
Exactly, exactly. She was just awesome, awesome. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, uh, so Linda, tango is often described as a 3 minute love affair. So, what is it about tango that so powerfully mirrors the dynamics of intimate relationships?
Oh, well, the beautiful thing about tango, like a number of partner dances, is it requires two people to work in a nonverbal fashion in order to get in step with one another. I've taught several dance forms. Actually, what got me into tango is I was studying the African roots. I was a professor of African dances throughout the diaspora, and I was studying the African roots of tango. And what I discovered about tango, unlike many other partner dances, is that there's not a set pattern that you return to. It's a walking dance, it's a progressive dance that goes around the floor. And if a couple does not get in step within 3 to 5 steps, the dance falls apart. However, if they do get in step and connected and in harmony within those 3 to 5 steps, then that's the
Mm,
beginning and sets the stage for the magic. And so when I was teaching couples, I found that I could view their relation like, I could view them dancing within 3 songs. I knew everything that was going on in their relationship. And so I would use the dynamics of the dance to help coach them not only in their dance, but in their relationship. And I got a reputation for that. And so as I started doing that work and seeing people's relationships transform within minutes, I knew I had a powerful tool in my hands to reach the world in terms of how to get in harmony with your partner, not only in your intimate relationships, but in ultimately all of your relationships.
lovely. And like, how can we use this metaphor beyond dance, like say in communication or the emotional expression with a partner?
Exactly, and that's why we say on and off the dance floor in tutu tango because, it's most obviously and most dramatically seen in terms of quickly, between intimate couples in an intimate or interpersonal relationship that's, personal relationship. However, the way that it can expand to other relationships and interactions with other human beings is the premise that 93% of communication is nonverbal. So only 7% is actually the words that you use. The other 90% has to do with body language. It has to do with tone. It has to do with, body positioning and things like that. So when you're using that other 93% in order to communicate with others, when you become aware of it and you start to get different levels of proficiency and mastery in it, then you can use that skill to get in step with others in any interaction. And so it's a really, really powerful way to use movement and dance to connect with others, to get in step with others, and to adjust your communication with them such that you move away from conflict and towards harmony.
True. Wow. And like, uh, yeah, I mean, here definitely I have to say that I really love this idea because 3 minutes of pure presence, it reminds me that sometimes we expect longevity without ever achieving the quality in the moment, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So,
And I will point out that's
uh-huh.
probably one of the unique things about tango in terms of the time, because you're correct. Each tango is on average, tango has a reputation for being on average 10 minutes, I mean 3 minutes, and that's because of the old recording mechanisms that kind of limited it to be about 3 minutes. However, unlike other partner dances, there is a set pattern in tango where you dance with your partner for 3 to 4 songs before changing partners if you're single. And then if you're in a couple and you go dance tango, you dance with your partner, at least from an etiquette place, the entire night. You don't dance with other people. And so that's one of the things I love about tango. And I do other partner dances, salsa, bachata, zouk, merengue, the whole suite. But what tango does is it allows you, because you have to, in etiquette, you dance with the same partner for a minimum of 3 to 4 songs. You literally are going through a mini relationship with them on the floor. You get to spend adequate time with them to get to know them, to make adjustments. And each dance gets richer and richer, and you build deeper and deeper connection from dance to dance. By the time you get to the third or fourth dance, even from the beginning to the end, the interaction with the person is different.
True. I agree. And also, like, what happens, like, you talk about the nonverbal communication in tango.
Mhm.
And so in relationship, we often default to words or words, silence. So what can our bodies teach us about trust, leading, and following?
Oh my gosh. So when we're jumping off the diving board into the deep waters. And I'll stick for primarily with trust because that is the core value of
Hmm.
tango. The dance doesn't work without trust, because what the leader and follower, and those are the two roles in the dance, what the leader is asking of the follower, at least initially, is to trust them to lead, because the follower is walking backwards in heels usually, or backwards in shoes. It's usually heels. And the amount of trust that it takes to allow someone to guide you through a crowded dance floor backwards in heels, needless to say, requires overcoming quite a few hurdles of trust. But what we can find in that is, even though it requires that, and people may approach that with some trepidation, that once they use that kind of exercise of overcoming fear, connecting with your partner, and building deeper levels of trust, it really does not only, like I said, build that physical synergy, that nonverbal synergy with another person, but then when you experience it viscerally in your body, kinesthetically, you realize that you can use that skill in terms of what it takes to build trust with others off the floor. It's probably the most profound, um, this probably most profound insight that my early leaders get, is that trust is not just a concept. Trust is actually a physical thing that they can experience in the body of another person.
Got it. Got it. Lovely. Oh, and so, like, what happens when both the partners want to lead or neither one wants to move?
Hmm. Well, I mean, and this is more an off the floor dynamic, because when people are on the floor, they're usually on the floor to dance. But I will say, in terms of when both parties want to lead, and that's usually You're more likely to see that definitely show up in Western culture, where the cultural dynamics of leading and following, or masculine and feminine energy, is kind of in a bit of a tug of war. So, without getting too deep into it, leadership, at least in Western culture, is often viewed in a hierarchical vantage point of the leader being over the subordinates or the followers, and therefore sometimes people can look when they first come into the dance that leadership is kind of some way hierarchical to the follower, but that's actually not the case. In tango, leader and follower interdependent, so they have equal value in the dance. Even though they're not doing the same thing, they have equal value. And so sometimes as people come into that awareness, it usually in the follower, they are concerned, well, I don't want somebody to be telling me what to do, or I don't want to be viewed as weak, or I don't want to be in the follower role. I want to be in the leader role because it's viewed that leadership or the leader is in the position of power. However, in tango, leadership is a position of permission. So, one of the first things that you learn is that there is no leader without the follower. If the leader does not have the agreement of the follower to cooperate with his, or sometimes her, but usually in this stance, his leadership, then he's not a leader. The leader is not a leader unless there's cooperation by the follower and permission given by the follower to participate in that kind of dynamic.
So, like tango thrives on tension. Like there's this dance between push and pull, give and receive. So in relationship, tension is usually avoided. So should we be embracing it instead, or what?
Um, the tension that people perceive in tango is the energy of the dance. It's the energy that is going through this cyclical um, system that makes the dance work. So it's less tension, even though it looks like that from the outside looking in, and it's more the energy that the couple is building to make the dance work and to make the couple move, as well as polarity at play. So it's really more a polarity that you're seeing, and it's that yin and yang, that masculine and feminine, literally that giving and receiving that you're seeing in the dance. And so I tend from the outside it looks like they're like, pushing and pulling to make the dance happen. When in actuality what they're doing is they're building energy between one another that creates the synergy that allows that couple to move safely through the dance floor. So, yes, when you build that polarity, they build that energy, there's a respect of the roles and the polarity of the roles. It creates the energy that's required to propel the couple forward.
Hmm. True. And like, what's the difference between healthy erotic tension and the destructive conflict?
Ooh, that's a powerful, powerful, powerful question. So you are correct. The interaction can either be a very healthy, sensual, erotic, I like the word, erotic, sensual interaction, or it can spiral downward. And that usually the difference has to do with the perception of the people within the relationship, um, that it's not a partnership. When they don't realize that it's a partnership, then it can devolve into something destructive, because then it becomes a power dynamic. It becomes less about cooperation and becomes control. So, in a very healthy one, you realize that you're in partnership with the person. You're there to cooperate with them, that is what the dance is about, and that's where the beauty comes from. That's where the beauty emerges. But when you don't understand that, then you get into this place of trying to control another person or not be controlled, and then it starts to fall apart, and actually falls apart really quickly. So I think that's one of the fail safes, if you will, or the saving graces of it, is because um, you fall out of the dance and you fall out of the embrace when it starts to get destructive. So we can apply some of that off the dance floor as well. Apply that understanding off the dance floor.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and I mean, that's so powerful. Let's say, I think so many of us confuse tension with the danger instead of desire. So, lovely. It's
Mhm.
really and tango has this deep sensuality, but also tremendous discipline. Also, so how do you guide couples to find that sweet spot between structure and spontaneity in their relationships?
Oh, that's a beautiful one. The dance kind of, requires that. So,
Yeah.
um, there's the theory of the dance and then there's the practice of the dance. And in the theory of the dance, it is definitely very spontaneous, and there's plenty of space for that. Because, like I said at the top of the show, the dance is not it doesn't have a pattern. It has principles and it has rules that govern the dynamic. But because the dance floor and the other couples and the music is just kind of this ever changing environment, the couple has to be responsive to that moment by moment changes that are happening in the environment. So I just wanted to give that as the theory. However, both leader and follower understand that it is the discipline and the discipline to follow the principles that sets the stage for the spontaneity. If you don't have and respect the rules that govern the embrace, the access, respect and boundaries, pace and cadence, that make the dance work, that literally make two people, four legs work on a dance floor, then you don't get to the space of spontaneity. So you can't get to the spontaneity and the creativity without setting the foundation of the discipline, the rules, and the principles and the construct that amount makes the creativity happen. It's kind of like every art form. You have to learn kind of the basic rules that set the foundation for your creativity to emerge.
True. Exactly. And also, can too much structure kill the spark, or does it actually create container for the freedom?
It does. It literally, beautifully said. I mean, it creates the construct or the framework for the freedom. Literally, it is that, and we say that in the class. It is the framework for the freedom. So it's not a constraint. What it does is it creates the trust and the foundation that allows for the freedom and the creativity and the spontaneity and the passion, and it also creates a space that whenever you do get out of step with your partner, you and your partner are not on the same page because that happens in relationships. It's the place where you can return to get back in step with one another. So just say like you were doing this really amazing dance move on a dance floor and then something got crazy on the floor and it wasn't going well or it went awry. It went left. It went left into left field, then you would use the rules and the principles to get you and your partner back in step and in a safe place to regroup, to reconnect in order to start again. And it's the principles that create that foundational element to do that. So you go from safety and structure to freedom to back to safety and structure. It's a very elastic way of moving within the dance and also within your relationship.
True.
I mean, that's the paradox. I mean, isn't it like pleasure thrives when there's safety, but too much predictability can also lead to a boredom. I mean, I'm curious how Tango resolves that. So,
It's realizing that the idea that predictability is an illusion. And it's very easy for people to see that very quickly in the dance. And it's a breakthrough point. Um, every step in the dance, even if you've done it 1,000 times, and at this point in my career, I've done it hundreds of thousands of times, perhaps millions at this point, as long as I've been dancing. Um, every step is different. So it's only your illusion that you are doing the same thing over and over again that makes you kind of disconnect and check out. However, when you realize that every step is different, every time you come into the embrace with your partner, it is not the same. It is not the same partner. It is not the same dance. It is not the same step. Whether it's a different song that's playing, whether they're wearing a different outfit and different shoes, whether their balance is different that day, whether there's a different set of couples that you're dancing with on the floor, it is never the exact same. So it's only boredom when you think or you convince yourself that, oh, I've done this before. It's like, no, you have not done this before. You have not had this dance with this person in this moment at this time ever before, and never will you ever again. And when you can see that on the dance floor, because even when you work with a partner over and over again, if you really tap into and pay attention to the details of them, it doesn't. Even if your dance partner wears a different outfit, the way that your hand moves on their back is not gonna be the same. So therefore, your stability is not gonna be the same. It's all those those nuances that tango lets you know that no, every dance and every moment with your partner is a new adventure. So that's why tango resolves that.
And understood. And so, like in a world which is obsessed with the quick fixes, your approach asks for embodiment, patience, and practice. So, what resistance do people face when they start dancing differently in love?
I'm sorry, you said what can you repeat that? What
Yeah, like
resistance?
yeah. So, like, what resistance people do face when they start dancing differently in love?
When they start dancing differently in love? Oh, the resistance that people have in the dance and it shows on and off the floor is one of the things that I said. It's probably one of the few places where the resistance, and that's in the power dynamic, and understanding what it means to lead and what it means to follow. Because once they get that resolve, they have a new respect for their partner. They understand that in their partnership, there is equality, and equality does not mean sameness. So we tend to think, so let me back up and just clarify that because it's a really, really important point is that once again, in our culture, in Western culture, leading and following is considered a hierarchical, but it's not. In tango, it is interdependent and it's partnership based. So it's kind of like a math equation. In the math equation, you have an equals mark, right? But the elements and the variables on either side of the equation, they're equal in value, but they're different. You may have two variables on one side of the equations and two elements on or three or five on the other side. The values are equal, but the things are different. It is the same in the tango, both on and off the dance floor, is understanding know that leading and following is not in a relationship is not hierarchical. It is absolutely a partnership where you guys are bringing different things that are of equal value that both are required to make it work. One is not more valuable than the other. One role is not more important than the other. They bring different things because if you want an amazing tango, both of those things are required in order to make the magic happen, from the very big things to the very nuanced things. And in actuality, in tango, it's the nuances things that make it the magical, make it the most magical. So that's where people have the resistance, that first tug of war, usually in their first couple of lessons or their first couple of years. For me, it took about 18 months for me to truly understand the power and surrender and what that unlocked in me. And so, but once you get there, it's like the dance becomes a whole new world for you.
Got it. Hmm. And also like many couples struggle with the desire over time. So how can learning tango or even just its principles help rekindle long lost passion in a partnership?
It's part of practice. And that's why I love tango because tango gets you out of your mind and into your body, and desire oftentimes starts in the mind and then comes through the body. So tango is definitely a way to assist people in that because it literally walks you through the process. The desire wanes, once again as a function of mindset because, I've been dancing tango many, many years, double-digit years, and my passion for dancing tango has not waned one bit. I'm still just as excited to go dancing and dance with my partner, today as I did when I first started many, many years ago, and that is because of the insights that I have, that when I go to the so one of the things that for example, let me give you an example. One of the etiquettes of tango is that you invite your partner to dance every single dance.
Mm.
So it doesn't matter whether it's your first time dancing with them or you've been dancing with them 20 years, you invite them to dance. And what that sets up is that you understand that every interaction with your partner requires permission. And it requires you to acknowledge that you must approach them every single time with respect and regard and ask their permission to dance. And then your partner realizes that you were honoring them in that invitation to dance. Every single dance you're inviting them to dance, and every single dance they're saying yes. And you realize that sometimes you can say no, like I'm not feeling it right now or I'm not, let's wait for a moment. Let me wait till I'm in the right headspace and body space to be in this dance with you. Doesn't mean you are never going to dance with them again, but maybe we sit out this song and we just, get quiet and get, in centered within ourselves so that we can go into the partnership. So, desire is like I said, it's a mindset thing. It's when you think you know your partner, when you think you've got it figured out, when you think you've mastered it, when you think you know everything about them, that is when it will wane. I want to give you another story of an example of something that happened, if I may. One of my star couples was a couple that had been married like 47 years, almost 50 years. And they came to my class because I get a lot of referrals
Yeah.
to my classes. And the gentleman that he came in and he was, there. They were there. Definitely, you could tell they were connected, but he was interested in dancing with other people. And I don't allow that in my class. Typically, if they're a couple, then I believe in my classes and respecting that boundary, just like in the etiquette of tango. Singles dance with singles, couples, you dance with your partner because that's a clear boundary in my class. But in this thing, he was like, he wants to get out and dance. And so, um, in this particular instant, I pulled the other partner aside and asked permission to coach them if they would. And so I did. They allowed that. And so I said, I tell you what, in this particular figure, I'm gonna ask for permission for another couple if you could like split up to work on this particular figure. And so I got permission from both couples and they did that. And so he went off and worked with another partner, it was actually a younger couple. And then she got to work with the leader of the other couple. And while he was working with the follower, the female, the lady of one couple, as she began to work with the new leader, she began to be able to do all of these figures that he was leading that her partner didn't realize that she could do. And it wasn't a function that she couldn't do them. It was that the leader was approaching her in a new way because she was a new partner. So he had a different vocabulary, and all of a sudden she was doing all of these dance moves, even though she was a more mature lady. And she was laughing and she was giggling and they were exploring. And then all of a sudden her partner was just like, wait a minute. Okay. Like he had a completely different perspective of his partner. He was like, wait a second, I want my partner back. Like, I don't, wait a second. I don't want, like, I don't want to dance with her anymore. I want to dance with my partner. So he literally was like I was like, "No, no." I asked him to continue and finish the song, and then when he came back to his partner, he had a whole new perspective because he realized that he didn't know his partner as well as he thought he did. Even though he'd been married to her 47 years, that in his dance, he was thinking, oh, I know everything about her. Oh, I've got this figure out. So I want to explore something new. And then he realized that it was not the fact that he needed a new partner. He needed a new perspective in approaching his partner. And he got to see that when he watched another person work with his partner. So, once again, I want to underscore it's not your actual partner, it's your mindset as it relates to your partner.
Amazing. That's awesome. That's yeah. And yeah. So wow. So and before we wrap, like if someone's listening right now and they feel disconnected in their relationship, what's the first step they can take to bring rhythm, closeness, and pleasure back into their lives?
Mm, thank you. Thank you. That's a wonderful, powerful questions. And I love giving exercises. So the bigger exercises, I would say find a tango class, or of course connect with us and we can get you in that direction. But the first thing is to just get back in the embrace with your partner. That's just a very simple thing. It's just to go to your partner without speaking, and just get into the embrace. And it can be something as a simple hug or hold one another and just stand where you are. It can be in silence or with music and just listen to their body. Just take in everything about their body, the way that they breathe, the way that they smell, the way that they're holding their balance. Do they favor one side or the other? And just start to take in the details of your partner and start to appreciate any new things that you notice or observe about them and use that as your first step of realizing that you may not know everything about your partner, that there's things that you can explore and just spend 3 to 10 minutes doing just that, trying to notice everything about your partner that you've noticed before and explore that just in standing in their embrace and in their arms. And that will start to not only reconnect you, but unlock the door to a deeper connection and intimacy. That's the first step in this dance.
Amazing. Great. So, I mean, what a great conversation. Yeah. Linda, thank you so much for reminding us that the intimacy is an art form, and like tango, it requires rhythm, presence, and willingness to feel. And
Mhm.
uh, yeah, so to everyone who is listening, if your relationship feels out of step, maybe it's not time to walk away. Maybe it's time to learn how to dance differently.
Mhm.
So, and if this episode made your heart beat just a little differently, don't forget to share, subscribe, and explore your own pleasure principles on and off the dance floor. So, Linda, if someone wants to connect with you, what would be the best medium?
The best medium would be to go to my website, www.lindadsutton.com. There's some resources there. There's an ebook. If you go slash ebook, that's the first place to connect.
Amazing. Wow. Great. So, and dear listeners, uh, if you have liked something, please do share, and I'll put all the links into the show notes for your easy reference. And until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and as always, dance with desire.
Mhm.
So, thank you so much.
Ciao.